Not far from the city of Baghdad stood a small village where an elderly man named Hakim was spending the final years of his life. He was a quiet, humble, and wise man whose greatest wealth was not gold or property, but the values he carried in his heart. Hakim had 5 sons. His eldest son, Yusuf, was a hard-working landowner who spent his days tending fields and crops. From sunrise to sunset, he labored tirelessly. Yet as the years passed and his father's age increased, Yusuf slowly began to feel burdened by the responsibility of caring for him. Every evening when Yusuf returned exhausted from the fields, Hakim could sense his son's growing frustration. The old father loved Yusuf deeply, but he remained silent, lowering his eyes and hiding his pain. After some time, Hakim realized that Yusuf no longer saw him as a blessing, but as a burden. One day he called Yusuf close and gently said, "My son, I know your responsibilities have become heavy. Do not worry. I will not stay here much longer. In a few days, I will move to your brother's house so that you can focus on your work and your life." Yusuf felt a brief wave of guilt, but he did not stop his father from leaving. A few days later, Hakim moved to the home of his second son, Farouk, a wealthy merchant. Farouk had no shortage of money, but he lacked something far more valuable: compassion. Although Hakim lived under his roof, Farouk remained busy with business affairs. His wife rarely spoke to the old man and treated him as if he were invisible. Hakim spent his days sitting quietly in a corner, carrying the sorrow of his son's fading love. One day, influenced by his wife, Farouk told his father, "Father, you should help me with my business so that your presence can also be useful." Hakim remained silent. His bent back, trembling hands, and weak body were proof that he was no longer capable of hard work. Yet he did not complain. That night, irritated by the old man's coughing, Farouk's wife said, "This old man is causing us trouble. He has other children. Why doesn't he live with them?" Soon afterward, Farouk approached his father and said, "Father, if you are uncomfortable here, perhaps you should stay with another brother. I'll even pay for your treatment." Those words pierced Hakim's heart. His son had offered money instead of love, so Hakim left again. He then moved in with his third son, Usman, a hard-working farmer. Usman respected his father, but he was always occupied. He spent his days working and his evenings with his wife and children. Though he was not cruel, he failed to notice the loneliness and sadness hidden within his father's heart. As months passed, Hakim's health continued to decline. Eventually, he left Usman's home as well and went to live with his fourth son, Ahmad. Ahmad welcomed him warmly at first, but Ahmad's kindness was driven by greed. He believed his father possessed hidden wealth that would someday become his inheritance. When he eventually discovered that Hakim appeared to own nothing, his attitude changed completely. His wife treated the old man like a burden and constantly complained about him. Ahmad became increasingly distant until one day he finally said, "Father, you cannot stay here anymore. I don't have time to care for you. You need to go somewhere else." The words broke Hakim's heart. With nowhere else to go, he turned to his youngest son, Abdullah. Unlike his brothers, Abdullah was poor. He earned his living through daily labor and often struggled to provide for his family. Yet whenever he earned money, he bought medicine for his father before thinking of himself. His wife was equally kind and devoted. She treated Hakim with genuine love and respect, caring for him as if he were her own father. For the first time in years, Hakim felt peace. He finally found the love he had been searching for. Days became months. Although his body continued to weaken, his heart grew lighter. Then one day, Hakim became gravely ill. Abdullah was devastated. He sat beside his father day and night, often weeping. He never considered his father a burden. To him, caring for his father was an honor. Seeing Abdullah's devotion, Hakim called him close. "My son," he whispered, "my final days are near." Tears filled Abdullah's eyes. "Father, please don't leave us. How will we live without you?" Hakim smiled gently. "This is the path of life, my son. Every soul must return to its creator." Abdullah lowered his head. "Father, are you pleased with me? If I have failed you in any way, please forgive me." Hakim took a deep breath. "My son, I tested all 5 of my sons throughout my life. Only you succeeded." Abdullah looked at him in surprise. Hakim continued, "After my death, go to Baghdad. In a certain alley, you will find an old man named Jabir. Tell him that Hakim has passed away and ask him for the trust I left in his care. Whatever he gives you belongs to you. Use it to improve the lives of your wife and children, but do not share this secret with your brothers." Soon afterward, Hakim passed away peacefully. Abdullah was heartbroken. He informed his brothers and invited them to attend their father's funeral. After the burial, Abdullah honestly told his brothers about the trust their father had mentioned. The brothers immediately became interested. "Go and collect it," they said, "then divide it equally among all 5 of us." Though his father had instructed otherwise, Abdullah's honest nature compelled him to share. He traveled to Baghdad and met Jabir. When Jabir heard Hakim's name, he handed over a large chest. Abdullah opened it and stood speechless. Inside were ownership documents for valuable shops in Baghdad's famous market, precious jewelry that had belonged to his mother, and large quantities of gold coins. Abdullah returned home and divided the wealth among all 5 brothers. Time passed. Soon, the true consequences of their actions began to appear. One brother's business collapsed because of poor decisions. Another became involved in theft and was imprisoned. The remaining brothers faced one failure after another. Their fortunes disappeared and their lives spiraled downward. Many believed it was the result of their neglect and mistreatment of their father. Meanwhile, Abdullah invested his share wisely. He purchased fine cloth from Kufa and sold it in Baghdad's markets. Through honesty, hard work, and the blessings of his father's prayers, his business flourished. Year after year, he expanded. Eventually, he purchased the very shops his brothers had been forced to sell. Before long, Abdullah became one of the wealthiest merchants in Baghdad. The same brothers who had once looked down on him now came to his door, seeking help. Yet Abdullah never turned them away. Whenever they needed assistance, he helped them. His kindness reflected the values his father had taught him. One day, Abdullah purchased a grand house in one of Baghdad's finest districts and lived comfortably with his family. Despite his success, he never forgot his father. Whenever he remembered Hakim, tears filled his eyes. Standing in prayer, he would say, "Father, your prayers made me wealthy, but your absence has left a wound in my heart that no wealth can heal. May Allah grant you the highest place in paradise."